Bonnie Banker, and I'm currently serving as the academic dean for the university. I started first as what they called then a division chair, which was both the Education and Psychology Department division, and I did that for 8 years. And then I moved to the vice president for academic affairs for 4.5 years. Then I went back to the classroom, and eventually, with my colleague, we started the graduate education program, and I've been directing the graduate education program for the last 11 years. Question because I probably didn't give myself any credit that I had leadership abilities, although the first time I did something about a leadership position is I ran for student body president, which is an interesting thing because back in my era, which is a long time ago, a woman running for that position was an interesting thing, not as common. But unfortunately, I didn't win. I lost by 4 votes, and that was sort of a bittersweet. But I think ultimately I was probably okay with that because it was probably more work than I wanted to do at the time. But truthfully, I didn't think a lot about myself in leadership positions. I didn't have a goal or agenda to be in leadership. And most every position that I've held in leadership, somebody's come and asked me to do it. I've never applied for any position that I've held in leadership. So it's one of those things that has evolved. I remember when I was first asked to be division chair here at the university, I wasn't quite finished with my doctor's degree, and I felt pretty uncertain that would interrupt that. And so I talked to the academic dean at the time, and he said, well, these opportunities don't come along all that often, and I would really encourage you to do that. And he said to me, I think you have leadership potential for the future. And that was the first time I really thought about it. It wasn't something that I was pursuing. And this shows how it's not like a motivation, it was just I wasn't pursuing it. I should have done leadership work in my doctoral degree, and I never did. I didn't take any courses in leadership. So everything I've done in leadership has evolved just from my own knowledge and skills and abilities.
And gifts.
So, well, maybe gifts. Yeah. So I don't have a good answer for that. I really have not, given my age and the years that I've been in education, there haven't been women role models, quite frankly. And I was doing leadership as a woman in an evangelical Wesleyan male-dominated tradition, and so I was sort of this woman forging my way through all of that. So to say that I had women role models, they probably didn't exist. I've always, currently I value the work that Dr. Sandra Gray, our president, is doing, and I observe her. I think my first early role models was I worked as a part-time job when I was in college for a big church, and I was the secretary for the pastor there, Reverend Melvin Gentry, who now is in South Carolina. And he really impressed on me just his leadership style. There was lots I liked about that, and I liked working for him. And then he also encouraged me. And so I probably play into that from my own gifts. And I think communication is just huge in terms of leadership. You've got to be able to communicate with the people that you work with so that they feel on board. You have to be able to bring the people under you on board with you so that they're all marching in the same direction with you. So I think communication is a huge piece. The ability to see strengths in others and then delegate responsibilities as those strengths become evident, because eventually you can't do it all. And while that would be my inclination, I can't do it all. And so the ability to empower other people to work alongside you, because ultimately, believe it or not, you want to work yourself out of a job. You want to bring the next person up the line. So I'm a lot about communicating, a lot about empowering, being able to see people's gifts and abilities to empower them to do what they can and are able to do. That's obviously a certain amount of organizational skills are important. I don't know that that's my greatest strength, but that certainly plays into quality leadership. Is when a huge challenge to a leader is when someone's not operating effectively in their particular position. Because you're, as a leader, you're taking people in a certain direction, and you want people to go with you in that certain direction. And if this person is unable to carry the load or function effectively, or is going off in a different direction, that's huge, because you've got to either bring them back on track, you've got to think of ways to bring them back on track, get them up to speed, help them to become more successful. And then sometimes you have to face the fact that you have to say, it's just not working with us here. And that's never fun to do. I never find that easy, but I think it's the fair thing to do, because at a certain point when you push somebody so long to try to do what it is you want them to do, and they don't want to do that, then we best say it's time to go do something else. So that's a big problem, I think. I think discerning effective organizational structure and effective strategic planning, I probably should have said back later, I think the ability to strategically plan and have a vision for where you're wanting to move next is a huge leadership trait that I think you need to have. And so it can be a problem if you can't get people to go with you on that path. And sometimes when you're in a position where you're not at the top of the heap and you see things differently than people over you, then you have to either work within that or figure out a way to persuade them to go the direction that you want to go. And I am a people person. The greatest joy for me is working with people and to be bonded together for a common cause. That our callings are matched and we're all working and pushing in the same direction. That's just a huge joy, people. And then because I'm in higher ed, it's been great joy for me to see young people grow professionally. And now that I've been at Asbury this length of time, and I have people come back that were my former students, and to be able to see their incredible successes, there's so much joy in that. And and they will say, oftentimes they'll say, I never forgot what you said. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what did I say? And I never know what they're going to say, and it's not even something I remembered saying. But to think that you had that impact is just hugely important.
Right.
Communicator. I would have taken, I've thought about this a lot, I would have taken administrative leadership courses as part of my doctoral work. I might have even got my doctor's degree in that area, but I wasn't forward thinking enough at that time. So I would definitely have done that. I don't have a lot of other changes in terms of leadership. I felt comfortable doing what I'm doing. I do think that because God has gifted me in the whole area of communication, it's been a joy to bring people along with me. It's always a delight to get the staff working with me, and we're all working to make something look good and be successful. I had a staff person come in today and say, I'm going to make you look really good, and I say, oh, good, and it wasn't any big thing. It was a little thing, but not making me look good is what the bottom line is. The bottom line is they look good for being part of the team. And I'm a great affirmer. I think people will do anything for you if they feel valued and affirmed, and so I'm really all about that. Now I wandered off what I would do differently. I never dreamed that I would spend my whole career here at Asbury University. I would have never predicted that. And I think one of the reasons that has been successful for me is because I've done a lot of different things. I'm not a person that can do the same thing forever. But God's given me lots of different opportunities, and those different opportunities have built me as a person and matured me as a person. So I feel like coming to this position right now is the result of my maturity, my opportunity to grow. Most important core value is that I believe all people should be treated equally. So the lady that cleans the building, every time she sees me, she throws her arms around my neck and hugs me. Now, what have I done for her? All I've done is affirmed her and talked to her like she was a person of worth. So I'm all about treating everybody as people of worth. Because my parents were missionaries and I was raised internationally, I probably never had prejudice. Wasn't part of my vocabulary. So I'm all about that's just very much. And right along with that, coupled with that is, and maybe this has grown even more in my mature years, is I want to treat other people like I would like to be treated. And so I tie that up with Jesus' ministry here on this earth. If I treat all those people out there the way Jesus would treat them, then I'm good to go, you know. And so, but I think we have to think about that sometimes consciously, because at our very core, we ultimately think about ourselves. And I don't have a lot of desire to do that at this point in my life. I really want to be what I can do to help other people be successful. So that's huge. I believe in, I don't know how you say this, but truthfulness integrity / straightforwardness. I really don't like to play games with people. I'm really all about being who I am, transparent, as much as I can be wherever I am. So that's really, really important to me. And it's probably sad to me when people don't see that's really who I'm trying to be. But so that's really at the heart of who I am.